Welcome to the annual budget template, brought to you by Mahogany Studios, a smart and powerful tool designed to give you instant clarity over your finances. This template provides a clear snapshot of your overall budget, whether you're tracking budgeted amounts, actual spending, or running various comparisons for quick updates. We'll start with the Summary tab, where a few important details are highlighted, including explanations of the different sheets, all organised into individual tabs. For smoother navigation, you'll find a navigation bar on the left-hand side that allows you to jump directly to any specific tab with just 2 clicks. Moving on, let's go back to the Instructions tab, where you'll find all the details you need. Here, you can customize the template by changing the theme and selecting your preferred currency. Next, we'll look at a high-level overview of the input data you need to populate. This is organised into clear classifications, such as income or savings, the bills you need to pay, and the due dates for each bill. One important thing to note is that these dates will automatically reflect in the My Calendar section, ensuring there's no risk of missing a bill or due date due to oversight. You can also track your expenses and debts, including the due dates for each debt payment. The template supports the debt snowball method, allowing you to manage loans effectively, whether they are long-term debts, short-term debts, or other liabilities. The classification of each loan and debt type is completely up to the user, giving you full flexibility and control. We also look at the year in a general way. We start with the year 2025, which in this case is customizable. You can add your year. The goal is to weigh these goals, and each of them is highlighted by various graphs. Let's see how these graphs change when we input values, whether planned or actual, to ensure that you appreciate the fact that the graphs change dynamically. Let me make some drastic changes. In January, the planned net worth, instead of $3,651, I'll change to maybe $10,000. You can see how the graph changes. For income, it's $0. I'll change that to $28,000. Fantastic! Now the graphs change substantially. Savings. Applying savings versus actual. Assuming there is no actual saving, it drops. Next are bills, which we are likely to pay, actual versus planned. In January, the planned bills are $2,884. Instead of $700, I'll say, for example, let's make it $5,000. You can see the immediate impact. All of these add up into the various breakdowns we can have for the budget: savings, bills, and expenses. Here we have the budget versus the actual: income, planned savings, bills, expenses, debt, and what is left. These entire columns show the income, savings, and bills. It follows the same pattern: income, savings, bills, then expenses and debt in a similar manner. What we have here is the net worth. These columns are all about net worth. We also have the cash flow by month for income, savings, and bills. So this is the monthly cash flow, with details for January, February, March, and so on, based on the various types of expenses. Needless to say, all these graphs are dynamic and update the moment I change any value. For example, if I change a number here, say $0, and make it $18,000, the graphs update completely. You can see this clearly for November. Moving on, let's take a look at the Transactions tab. Here we see individual transactions organised under various categories. The subcategories help avoid typing the same thing repeatedly, as there's a convenient drop-down menu. If you want to add or change a category, you can always use the Edit button. The total value of the transactions here amounts to $15,728, and these figures will automatically reflect elsewhere in the sheet. For example, let's say that on the 23rd of this month, I want to change a shopping expense to $2,000. All I have to do is make the change and mark it as an expense. I would then specify that instead of shopping, the $2,000 was for clothing. Once we click, the necessary updates will appear elsewhere in the sheet. These are examples we've provided to help you understand the process better. Of course, you can delete or add entries manually. For example, let's say I add $150 under a particular expense. I would categorize it as a gas. There you go. Now, my expected expenses currently total $17,722. Moving on to the calendar, we can see all the data we've inputted. For example, if the parking bill is due on the 1st, we can go to the calendar and see that the parking bill is due. The calendar provides a high-level overview as well as a visual indication of the types of expenses we are likely to incur, helping us ensure that no expense is missed. Moving on, we can view the data month by month. Remember, we also have the navigation bar here. Since this is an annual template, it's organised by month. For each month, we see the start date, end date, the rollover from the previous month, and the planned versus actual figures for income, savings, spending, debt paid off, and what's left. For example, if the planned amount is $5,000, it is reflected in the graph. If the bank savings is $150 and I change it to $1,500, this update is reflected in both graphs. All of these figures are interconnected and highly dynamic. Likewise, we have bills such as internet bill. I'm deliberately making large changes to these hypothetical numbers so you can clearly see how the system works. For example, if I change shopping to $2,000, the numbers update completely. The same applies to debt. All of this is tracked on a monthly basis, and you'll see similar behaviour for February, March, and so on. The savings dashboard gives you a visual overview of the savings accumulated over the months. The total savings goal is $90,000. Where does this number come from? It comes directly from the input data, $90,000. If I click into the input data, you'll see that the goal is defined under Savings and Sinking Funds. This is where the overall savings goal is set. This gives us a very clear demarcation of the key goals we want to track. On the savings dashboard, we can see the various savings categories, the total goal, the total amount saved, which comes from the Transactions tab, total monthly savings, and the amount left to save. We also have individual charts and graphs that show savings in stock markets, savings for gold, furniture, and more. Next, we move on to another tab that focuses on net worth. Here, we populate the total net worth goal. Our current net worth, relative to the goal, is calculated as $300,000 minus negative $245, resulting in $300,245. The total assets, liabilities, and net worth are all displayed very clearly using colour-coded graphs. You can see the asset distribution by percentage, liabilities, and overall net worth, along with an assets overview. This includes cash in bank accounts, various properties, and other asset types. Everything here is completely customizable. You can include rental income from property, business income, machinery, and more. For example, under crypto, I might specify a particular asset like Bitcoin. If there are additional assets, I can add them, and everything is saved automatically. These are the key components that make up your overall net worth. Moving further, we come to the debt tracker, which is an especially important feature. When you click on the debt tracker for any month, January, February, or even September, you get a very clear view of the details. This includes the various debt payments made, the remaining balance, and the progress of debt paid off on a month-by-month basis. Overall, it provides a very detailed and clear understanding of your debt repayment journey. Last but not least, we have the priority sheet. This highlights our priorities by categorizing expenses based on how essential they are, from very essential to not essential at all. Within this, we can also distinguish between planned and actual amounts, along with bills and other expense types. To purchase this template, visit Mahogany Studios or click on the link provided. You'll be directed to the appropriate section where you can go ahead and buy this template. We appreciate you watching this video. You can stay up to date on useful templates by subscribing to Mahogany Studios. This spreadsheet template can also be bought at Mahogany Sheets, the link for which can be found in the description down below. If you want this customized just the way you need it, contact us anytime. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe for the latest updates and helpful templates. Catch you in the next one. More sample like this.